Ontario Premier Doug Ford putting down a marker on tariffs with the Mexicans and the incoming Trump administration. Hi, I'm Brian Lilley, political columnist for the Toronto Sun. It was an odd way to wake up, not even finish my first cup of coffee, and Doug Ford is out putting a statement on X saying that he's got issues with Mexico and the free trade agreement that we currently have. Check it out. Free trade needs to be fair, Ford said. Since signing on to the United States Mexico-Canada Agreement, Mexico has allowed itself to become a backdoor for Chinese cars, auto parts, and other products into Canadian and American markets, putting Canadian and American workers' livelihoods at risk while undermining communities and doing enormous harm to our shared economic success. Ford went on to say that if Mexico can't play ball, maybe we shouldn't have a free trade deal with them. Maybe they should be on the outside of the deal we have with the United States. Tough words and seemingly coming out of nowhere. Ford was asked about it during a news conference later that day.
Difference, folks. You know, you look at Mexico, they're importing cheap products, undercutting our hardworking men and women, not only here, but in the U.S., from China. They're slapping a Made in Mexico sticker on and shipping it up and taking our hardworking men and women jobs away from them. Unacceptable. So we're doing, Ontario alone does $500 billion. Mexico, we do $40 billion. And guess what? They import $36.5 billion into our country. So they export 36.5 out of 40, and we export $2.5 billion. It's ridiculous.
This isn't just about the incoming Trump administration. The Biden administration has been trying to work with Mexico for a long time now on transshipment. Transshipment is something that the Trump administration previously had worked with Canada and Mexico on. But Mexico keeps allowing itself to be used by Chinese companies as a backdoor into the North American market. And that is something both Biden and the incoming Trump administration want to stop. But you may have noticed Doug Ford is not the Prime Minister. He's the Premier of Ontario. So he was asked, why are you the one jumping in here?
Statement that you put out this morning regarding our trade with our southern neighbors. With all due respect, obviously you're the Premier, not the Prime Minister. So I'm curious why you felt it was necessary to wade into international politics with this statement.
Well, as I did before, it was the federal government that sent me down to negotiate with Bob Lighthizer, and since we're the engine of Canada and 95% of all the jobs that were created just last month were here in Ontario, we'd be the third largest trading partner in the world to the United States if we were a standalone country, which I never recommend. We do $500 billion a year in two-way trade. We're the #1 export destination to 17 states and #2 to 11 other states. So do we have a stake in this? 1,000%.
Now, I've been very clear. I don't think you can trust the Trudeau administration to do a good job on standing up for Canadian workers, Canadian companies, against the incoming Trump administration and the tariffs they say they're going to bring in. Why? Experience. Back in 2018, when we were hit with tariffs on our steel and aluminum, we were warned for more than a year to stop allowing cheap Chinese products to be dumped into Canada for shipment to the U.S. The Trudeau administration ignored that. They ignored that until after the tariffs were put in place. They would rather, at that point, appease Beijing and put our workers at risk rather than doing what the Trump administration had asked, which was a simple ask and one that would have protected our workers. Instead, they put our workers at risk. Will they do it again? I'm not sure that we can trust them. Hopefully, they won't be in government for all that long, but at least Doug Ford is stepping forward to say, here's where we are, letting the Americans know, the incoming administration know, that they've got a partner when it comes to trade and dealing with Chinese dumping. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment down below. Share this on social media. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel.